ladies, welcome to another call with she. She owns, she builds, she invests. She is me and she is you. We are on a mission to help 1 million women create generational wealth while fostering personal, professional, and spiritual growth. So, welcome in. We have an amazing speaker, and hopefully, you enjoy the call today.
Yes, our speaker today is a freedom and success coach residing in Dallas, Texas. She's worked in the leadership development executive coaching space in her W-2 for 15 years, helping senior leaders to maximize productivity and results. Since 2020, she has directly coached 100 of her own clients, plus 1,000 plus other real estate investors to help them create financial and time freedom. She is an NLP master practitioner and helps clients break through decades of previous limitations and step into their authentic power and truth. She takes a whole person approaching in her coaching, helping clients thrive in their business while increasing fulfillment and joy in their lives. I am so excited to introduce to you guys Karishma. Karishma, we are so excited to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Karishma. So tell us a little bit about your background, your W-2 job and transition into solo entrepreneur. Tell us about all the amazing things that you have done.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a crazy journey. I think if all of us kind of take a step back and look at how we're here, I'm sure I'm not the only one that can say my life is a freaking miracle. And it really is. And it's just amazing sometimes how things have to happen to bring us to where we are today. And, I did the whole corporate leadership thing. I was really good at what I did. And I was so good, in fact, that I was overworked. They gave me more work to do. They gave me the fancy titles, and I did everything that was expected of me in my work role. And interestingly enough, this was 4 years ago. I'd been in the leadership development space for 15 years. I got really burnt out. And I had massive health challenges that started to arise from burnout. And it was interesting because I was actually helping senior leaders thrive with productivity, working with less time, putting less time in their work so they could show up and thrive. And all of a sudden, I was the one that was burnt out just from overextending herself constantly. And at the time, my twins were 7, I have a boy and a girl. And I found myself, they gave me the fancy laptop, they gave me the remote job, and I was like, I've made it. This is freedom. This is amazing. And before long, I'm at the laptop every single week during family vacations, at the poolside, laptop in my hand, working 7 days a week. And it got to the point where that burnout was unsustainable. Quit my W-2, hardest thing I've ever done. And I went on my own path of I'd never been that anxious before. I'd never been that overwhelmed before. And I found myself struggling with anxiety and depression, which I know is really rampant in our society. And I kind of took a few months off of work of who is Karishma outside of the depression, outside of the anxiety. And one thing led to the other. I came upon a coaching retreat, actually, interestingly enough, came into the world of personal development and started exploring who am I outside of the overwhelm, the burnout. And it kind of led me down my own spiritual path, personal path, if you will. One thing leads to the other. I follow upon real estate investment. It seemed like a great vehicle for financial and time freedom, which is what I really wanted. And I came into the world of real estate investment. And in the meantime, I'm still coaching and doing my thing because I love helping people. And I learned so much from my mentors and the people that had worked with me. I started finding out who I was underneath all of the stress. And I wanted to give back in a big way. And one thing led to the other. My passion for real estate combined with my passion for serving people. And COVID happens, business takes off. All of a sudden, I have this niche of real estate investors. And here I am, 100 plus clients later. And what I'm really passionate about is helping people get out of their own way and really uncover who they are so they can really thrive in their business, in their life, in their relationships, because everything is connected. And that's what I'm really passionate about. So I'm not sure if I answered the question, but it's just been an interesting and amazing journey of me finding out what business and time freedom and financial freedom looks like. And then an interesting laugh to find out, actually experience burnout and stress and overwhelm in my business, which was the very thing that I didn't want in my job, and then really learning a different way of creating a business that allows me to be me and to really thrive in my business without losing that balance and the connection, the time with my kids, which is what I really wanted in the first place.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I always like hearing your story. And it's amazing how you making an option, not an option, a choice to change something, and then it just changes the whole trajectory of your life. And now fast forward to today, here you are. So we're so thankful to have you tonight. I do want to ask, what does she builds, own, invest mean to you?
That is great. I really had to kind of think about it, because for me, it's, yes, I'm a passive real estate investor today, and I do that, and I believe in it. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. And I'm a single mom, so, you know, I'm really conscious of where my money goes and what is important and what I put out to the world. But for me, that investment piece is, I think, what the brand stands for and what is valuable to us. And, you know, when I used to look at the world and be like, okay, if I leave this, that, and the other, or the things in my bank account or my assets or all the things, that's what's going to matter. And as I've been on this path even more, I'm realizing it's me building me up. It's me showing up in a way where I can really create a powerful legacy, create a powerful life. And I can really show up in a way as I'm building my business, as the wealth is happening, all the things are happening in the background. It's the ability to look at myself in the mirror every single day, to like the person that I am, and to be the mom that I'm really proud of today. And it's not for that purpose, it's there, but it's like, as I pour into me, invest in me, honor me, love me, everything becomes the ripple effect of that. My impact, my contribution, the wealth grows, everything comes from that space of me investing in me and honoring my needs from the inside out.
That is so awesome. And that's one of the reasons why I was so excited to have you today, Karishma, because we are so aligned on having everything just, you know, how, I mean, and this leads to my second question. How is correlated the personal, the professional, and the spiritual lives in our lives?
Yeah, everything's connected. And I feel like, you know, when I think of spirituality, and I know you said spiritual life, personal, professional, and spiritual. When I think of spiritual life, I think of like my values. Who am I? How do I want to show up in the world? You know, and one of the biggest things I feel like, and this is what I used to struggle with in my past, and it's sometimes still a struggle, but it's really like, how do I honor me, and how do I honor the business? How do I honor me? How do I honor my kids? How do I honor me? How do I honor the clients? And it almost felt like a yo-yo where something was given up or something was sacrificed. And, you know, for me, that really came into fruition. And I share my story really openly, but I hit like 6-figure months during COVID in my coaching business, doing what I love. And as I did that, like, yes, there was that moment of elation and that high and that bliss that came from, oh my God, I can't believe this thing that I never thought I could do. I did that. But on the other side was also this emptiness and this deep emptiness, almost like a despair. And that was the second thing that happened after the bliss kind of wore off after a few days. And it was like, yeah, but in order for me to do this, I've been micromanaging in that time, virtual assistants that I hadn't spent much time with my kids. My marriage was failing on the background. My health was starting to feel shitty again. There was a lot of things that were happening. So yes, like financial, I had all the wins. I could put that first big certificate up, but there was things happening behind the scenes where I felt this emptiness. So for me, that shift that really happened, which brought me down to my knees, like, okay, God, like, why is it that I feel like this when I have everything? I'm doing the business that I love. I get to help people. I get to serve people. I know I'm here for this purpose, but something's missing. And what is that? And now I can look back 3.5 years ago and be like, what was missing is I was putting everybody else first. And I feel like, you know, when we honor ourselves, and this is just my perspective, you can disagree and it's okay. I'm honoring the God within me. God wants me to be here. God wants me to serve the world, but I can't serve the world until I serve myself. And it actually fundamentally created a big shift in how I show up in my business, in my life. And for me, if I don't serve me, I'm not serving God, because everything that God wants from me only comes when this bucket, this vessel, this vehicle is full, because it directly affects my ability to serve people. And usually the people that get the short end of the stick continuously are my children. And those are the people that I came into business for in the first place. So if I can't honor myself, my health, this person that's me, that's here to serve, and the children that I brought into the world, nothing else matters. And then the impact, the business, all the other things come after I serve this. Because then for me, that has been the biggest thing that has allowed me to be more fulfilled, feel more full, feel more like whole and complete than I ever have. And it was fundamentally taking a shift and bringing everything back here home to this, to me. And we'll talk about that if we need to, but it's been a huge shift in like how I show up in the world, where now the things that I thought would be really important just aren't as important anymore. And then business comes from a state of flow, not from a state of push and grind. It's just a different way of living life that's really authentic to, I think, how we're supposed to be in this world, that feels natural.
Wow. I'm so glad you talk about that, because I think, I don't want to, again, speak for the rest of the women on this call, but I think we can all relate to that. We all come from trying to help others, pleasing other people, and thinking about others before we think about ourselves. So I'm glad you talked about that. This kind of leads into my next question is, how has coaching changed your life and help you find your identity?
That is a great question. And I think, sometimes we look at the things that have gone wrong in our life and we judge those things, or we judge ourselves and we say, oh my God, like I was a failure because like who sabotages a 6-figure business? And I'll be honest, like a couple months after that 6-figure month, and, I can kind of disclose what it was later, but it was this emptiness and that unfulfillment. And literally I was down to like barely 5 figures in a couple months. So for me, it's those moments where I can judge myself and be like, oh my God, what a failure. And I can do that, right? And I feel like we're really hard on ourselves. I think we all are, especially women. But I can look back at those moments in my life that seemed really catastrophic then. And the gift in every one of those moments has been my ability to get help and my ability to get out of my way. And one of the biggest things that came in my life, and I share my story, is, I have a family member that was an active alcoholic. And if any of you are living with depression, anxiety, addiction, it's really easy to get wrapped up in that disease and the mental health of someone else. And, as human beings, we're very empathic. We match and mirror people's energy all the time. So when someone's really down in your home, it's almost like it feels unnatural to give yourself permission to be happy, because depression is rampant, anxiety is rampant, addiction is rampant. And the blessing was 10, 12 years ago, when living with active alcoholism and trying everything in my power to change him, to fix him, to get him to sobriety, none of that stuff worked. Brought me down to my knees because I found myself drowning under his addiction, and it forced me to get help, get out of my way. I found a great, program called Al-Anon. I highly recommend it for those of you that are struggling with the same, but it really, allowed me to kind of come on a spiritual path. And then 10, 12 years later, I'm talking 3 years ago, when I had the burnout with my business and the overwhelm, and I'm like, I'm doing this thing I'm supposed to do. God, what is it that's wrong? Like, how can this be so wrong? And it was then that it caused me to find a mentor, to get support, because the things that I'd learned from my business coach had brought me the income, had brought me the clients, but it didn't bring me the joy. And it was just the way that I was ignoring what was going on in my life. I was ignoring myself. I was ignoring my family. I was ignoring my relationships. And it was that emptiness, that was the disconnect, that I knew something was wrong and I couldn't put my finger on it. And I'm so grateful that in those moments of despair, sometimes those moments of despair are actually a gift, where we realize, oh my God, like maybe I need help. Maybe there's another way to do something. And it's what we don't know. And we take that leap of faith and we invest in ourselves. And I'm a huge proponent of personal development growth. I have a mentor today. I'm never going to leave some model of mentorship that resonates with me, but realizing that I need someone to help me see my blind spots because I can't see them. And that's what allows me to show up in a way where I can be proud of who I am and continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. And then I think that's everything. That's why we're here, to grow and evolve continuously.
I love that. I heard one day that my therapist said, if there is a therapist that he's not taking therapy, you shouldn't go with her. And it's the same thing. Like, you are a coach, but you also have somebody helping you. Like, we all need help, no matter where we are on the stage of our lives. And I love that you mentioned that, even if it's like real estate, if it's mental, if it's fitness, whatever area, like, we all need help. So that I love that. And you also mentioned that there are like two sabotages that hit on your life. Can you talk about that, how that impacted your life, and how did you overcome? Maybe there's some women right here that are going to those sabotages, and sometimes we don't realize. Can you go deeper into that?
Yes, I'm happy to. Okay, so it's so crazy. Okay, so one of the things, first of all, I wanted to share is I've been on this journey for a long time, and I'm aware of things that I wasn't aware of then. So if you're like, oh my God, I'm hearing this for the first time, congratulations. That's amazing, and you may be like, I already know that. Congratulations, that's amazing too. Okay, there's nothing wrong with any of it. So what's interesting is, we mimic the patterns of our family. And especially the family member that we try really hard not to be like is a lot of what we end up being like if we keep allowing ourselves to go there. All of us, even you, Brooke, okay? And it's amazing. So, here I am. I'm a first generation Indian woman. I came here when I was 5 years old. My parents came from nothing. They built the American dream, convenience store, gas station, like everything that you see in the movies. My parents did that. Retired 5 years ago. But what's interesting is my first way of sabotaging myself, which I didn't realize until a few years ago, is I always wanted to be a businesswoman. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I came into America, my parents, started creating their business, and my dad worked 7 days a week, every single week. So my dad would come home. Sunday would be the afternoon when he would be with us. And half the time on Sunday, he'd be exhausted. So he'd be napping because he was up working 60, 80 hours a week, our whole childhood. And so mom was the one who cooked the meals. We ate dinner with mom. Mom did everything. Mom worked too. She did everything for us. And so in my mind, on some level, I learned that if you're a businesswoman and you have your own business, that means you're not there for your family. That means that you're ignoring your family, and it's not okay. And especially in this society where we have these rules of what it looks like to be a good mom, a bad mom, all the things, when everything's on social media, we're touting this perfect crap on social media. Doesn't even true half the time. It's like the pressure is so crazy that somewhere along the way, I learned it was unconscious, because if you ask me, at 20 years old, I tried all the MLM schemes. I did all of it. Okay. Like all the things, but my heart wasn't in it. And somehow it always sabotaged myself out of it. So I'd buy the thing, and I can use an MLM example. I think somewhere along the way, probably all of us, participate in some level of MLM, but it was like, oh yeah, I believe this thing. I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna do this thing. And then when it push come to shove, I wouldn't show up, and I wouldn't actually deliver and own that thing that I was so committed in from the beginning. And I can look back, from the age of 20 until I finally became an entrepreneur at age 38. And it was always this yo-yo. Every time I tried to take a leap of faith in my business, I'd always fail, and my heart was never in it, because it was almost like owning that business and being successful in it would mean that I would ignore my children. And that would be the worst thing ever, to be a bad mom. And in this society, this culture, where it's like, I grew up in a culture where your family is everything, your identity is everything, you sacrifice yourself for the family, so on and so forth. So for many, many years, I didn't even give myself permission to fully be an entrepreneur. That was my first way of sabotaging myself over and over and over again. Then when finally I came into my business, I talk about the 6-figure months, and I burn out. Why did I burn out 2 months, 3 months after, this amazing high, this amazing high that everybody wants in their business, that everybody told me that I was supposed to do? Why is that? Because, and again, I realized this after the fact, all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I was making more money than my ex-husband. And again, these are like unspoken rules, things that I picked up along the way. No one talked about it. Something was just picked up along the way. And all of a sudden, I'm making more money than my ex-husband. And I see my ex-husband at the time, my ex-husband now, but husband at the time, And I see that with every sale, every client coming in, I see him getting more and more anxious. I see him getting more and more depressed. And all of a sudden I'm hiding my accolades, I'm hiding my sales, even though like the sales go into the family bank account, I'm hiding who I am. I'm hiding my light because all of a sudden it's not safe for me to be me in my marriage. And on a human level, we want to belong. We want to be loved. We want to be accepted. This is like human basic needs. And all of a sudden, it was unsafe for me to be successful in my marriage. And I didn't realize at this time, this is from the years of support I've had around this, but how amazing, because that very self-sabotage that brought me down to my knees helped me realize eventually that I was unsafe in my home to be who I am. Yes, I am divorced now, and I'm happily divorced with a great amicable relationship. That's just my story, but it's that permission that we have to give ourselves to be aware of, why am I not showing up in my business in the way that I want? Why am I not showing up in my household the way that I want? Why am I not giving myself permission to really thrive and be successful and be happy? Somehow along the way, there's some negative correlation that we learned that it's not okay for us to be happy, to own our worth and value. And this is, I think, so deeply rooted in women in a lot of our cultures too. And I know we come from kind of a mix of backgrounds, but there's these unspoken rules. And it's like when we show up to be a leader, we're almost giving ourselves permission to break these unspoken rules and permission to really be happy and own our worth and value.
That's beautiful. I love the fact that we can all choose to gain awareness, and we may not have chosen, how we were raised or the things that we were taught or the unspoken rules, but we can choose to decide to make a difference for our future. And then also for me, how I raise my 3 kids. So I love that, Karishma. And that kind of leads into the next question. Why do you think as women, we feel the need to sacrifice ourselves for love or for others?
Such a great question. It's the word I use in my coaching programs is conditioning. Okay, so even the example I gave earlier with my coaching group, so we come in the world and, as babies, think of babies, they're just unconditional love. They're just unconditional love. And this need to belong, this empathic being that we all are as human beings, we match and mirror energy of our parents, of the people that we're around, of our culture, of our upbringing. And energy is emotion in motion. So we're literally matching emotions from everyone around us. So think of a baby. Baby doesn't have guilt when he vomits or she vomits. It doesn't, okay? The baby doesn't have rage, like fundamental needs aren't met. Or if they do, like, who cares? They're raging because they can, and they don't really care what people think about them. And it's that level of freedom that, unfiltered, uninhibited freedom that a baby brings in the world. That is the raw essence of who we are, and who all of us are is love. The only thing authentic to us is love. The guilt is conditioned, the rage is conditioned, the resentment is conditioned, the shame is conditioned, the fear is conditioned. Why do we do that? We do it to fundamentally belong to our family of upbringing. And if we grew up in a household where there was like greater rage, alcoholism, like I'm talking more extreme situations, we end up matching and mirroring those. Why? To belong, to be saved, and to be loved. And it's so deeply rooted, it's unconscious. Under the age of 7, before we even were conscious, we already picked up 80-90% of our programming. And we do it because it's what we learned. And it's just what it is. And as women, especially, think of, a couple of generations before, your ancestors, my ancestors, they were never given a voice. They were never asked, are you happy? You suck it up, you do the thing, you move on, you accept, you put everything behind for the family's societal happiness or what the society thinks is right for the family. Your needs don't matter. And so it's just about like recognizing this is my conditioning. My condition, I have it too, of this need to put my everybody else first. But what that resulted for me, and I can talk about my story, is a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of overwhelm, chronic burnout. And at the end of the day, if I look at who I am on this planet, I'm here to be loved. I'm here because at the end of the day, if I'm dying of 24 hours to live, none of the other stuff is going to matter. I'm going to think about who I am, how I showed up, the legacy, the role model that I was with my children, and how I spent my time. That's going to be the only thing that matters at the end of the day. And so for me, if I'm not honoring my needs and who I am, what my heart needs, what my soul needs, to be connected, to be present, to be loving, to be kind, what is the point of a business if I can't honor my needs? If I can't like take a nap because I need to, and we all have it, right? It's so rampant as women. We feel like we have to be everything for everyone, but it's recognizing, okay, like these roles that someone taught me is what it's like to be a good mom, a good wife, a good parent. There's so many double standards in these roles for women, and I get to pick and choose the ones that are really authentic to me, the ones that really lift me up. Because when I look at a mom role, and I have 2 children, I'm a single mom a lot of the time, but it's like, are my kids' needs met? What are the needs that they really have? Their needs that they really have is love and connection, and to be taken care of, to have safety in their home. Thank God I got divorced because I have safety in my home today. And my kids know what it's like to come home and unapologetically be themselves and have a day and feel crappy and know, you know what? Mom still loves you. And there are days mom feels crappy and mom loves herself enough to give herself a timeout, and that's perfect. But knowing that they don't have to come home and walk on eggshells because they're having a bad day. Who doesn't have a bad day? But it's that love and acceptance and appreciation. If I can't model it for my children, and if I can't be that for my children, I can talk about self-love day and night. And as a coach, I'm really good at doing that sometimes, but they're looking at me as how I'm showing up, because they're learning through my actions of what it's like to really be a mom, a parent. My son is looking at me, what does it really mean to respect a woman? And he's learning that every single day. And the way I teach my daughter to respect herself, to take space to honor her needs, it's the modeling that is what our children are learning from us every single day. And the people that are around us are learning from us every day, despite what we say to them. Okay, I can get really intense. It's just that. Yeah.
It's inspiring to hear that, because I can see how much passion you have for it, and I love hearing that in your voice, because it's exciting to hear that. I'm gonna do a little switch though. You invest passively in multifamily.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you decide to go that route, and how did you become confident in investing? And with that, why is it so important for women to create wealth?
Okay, that's a few questions. Okay, let me answer one at a time.
I know.
Okay, perfect. So why did I decide to come into multifamily? I mean, I did the whole 401k and the typical job thing. Okay, and we all know nothing is certain. I do believe in real estate. I live in the state of Texas, and wow, like what an honor it's been to invest in this state. So I think, again, like life kind of brought me to real estate as a great means of growing business, growing wealth. I do believe in it. All of my, money today, passive money income from coaching directly goes into REI, and I can truly say that. So I have a lot of confidence in that. It also helps that I'm surrounded by real estate investors all the time. I've supported real estate investors. So there's a lot of, asking somebody for advice is one thing, but knowing what you're doing and having that certainty within you, that trust within you, having great partners that have your back, these are all really important to be successful in any business. And I have some amazing partners, people in my life, that sometimes opportunities come and I have a great network, and it's just like, okay, cool. I get to vet out and use my education, my knowledge, and make informed decisions and say, yes, this aligns to me, or no, that doesn't align to me. And I get to be really independent. And I'll be honest, this whole independent way of thinking is really different than I was even 4 years ago, where when I was in my marriage, he handled all the finances. He handled all the money. Budgeting was a raw subject because I would spend the money and he would make the money. And I didn't like talking about saving money. I was really good at just doing what I did, and the money would just be there and I never had to think about it. So like even that education and that certainty that I have today of being financially responsible and knowing where my money is coming from, where my money goes, and really to take ownership of it. Again, I think somewhere along the way, women just don't learn that wealth or financial acumen that is needed. And a lot of people, women especially, stay in relationships and marriages because they don't have that certainty of how am I going to be okay financially. Men are actually more okay financially after divorce. Okay, they think they're not, but they actually are because they're able to pick up and they know how to make money. And the women often, that fear of financial security, and I have a lot of, women that I've known over the years, often it keeps them tethered to a marriage for way too long, even when it's toxic, because they're afraid of how they're going to support themselves. So I think for me, it's like that ability to know I'm okay and I have the ability to make money and I'm going to be taken care of and my children are going to be taken care of. That is huge. And that's been a huge gift. And even my journey of like kind of finding myself and all the things that happened, my divorce led me to have no choice but to own that financial independence piece. And it's so liberating to know that you can truly take care of yourself and not have to depend on someone, that you can be with someone or in a partnership because you want to, not because you have to. Like that is so huge. And I wish every woman had that certainty that thank God I get to experience today. But it hasn't been a pretty road getting here, but it's been worth it.
Well, I'm sorry that you had to go through that to learn about finances, and I'm glad that you were able to create that wealth for yourself. I hope that other people realize on this call that you don't have to go through that. Maybe you can get to that point, learn about real estate, learn about investing before you need to do it all on your own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, now we'll go into any questions. If you have any questions, if you want to raise your hand and come off mute, we'd love to hear from you. And if not, we can read them.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat that I saw Lily put in there, and I don't know if she wants to unmute or maybe she's in a spot she can't, but she said, how do you balance work? Oh, this is a good one. Work and family. Oh, there's what she's doing.
So cute, Lily.
That is a great question. And thank you for asking that. I'm sure you're not the only one thinking that. So the struggle is real. Okay. I'm not perfect. No one is. We all have, life and kids and all the things that we need to do, all the responsibilities we play. But for me, and it's it's really hard for me to tell that in like 5 minutes here, but it's really about, I call it intentionality. Okay. And it really comes back to like, what do I want? And for me, and it's really being honest with ourselves, what do I really want? Okay, I want the money, I want the financial freedom. Why do I want that? I want that because I want the feeling of what? Okay, for me, it comes back to the feeling of what. And so Lily, I'm gonna ask you, since you're right here, what is the feeling that you want? When you think about everything that you want, what your business means to you, what is that feeling that your business will provide you?
Hi guys.
Hi.
Sorry about that. That's actually a very good question. I've been asking myself that a lot. Not just now, but ever since I, started my family and as well as my work. But I think I think all of us come down to feel free. But recently I also learned that I want to feel like the abundance of it. Okay. The abundance of like, freedom, but money is.
So I want you to just close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you this because this is important, and this is everybody. I would invite you to just participate with Lily. Just close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that feeling of the freedom that you want. If you could label that feeling, what is that feeling of the abundance, the freedom? What is that feeling? What does freedom feel like to you? Lily, what is that feeling of freedom, of abundance to you?
Not obligated.
Not obligated. And what that feeling of what? Feels how? To feel not obligated means to feel what? Everyone, put in the chat. Lily gets to have her own experience. What is that feeling of not feeling obligated? What is that feeling for you? Just connecting to your heart, because it's right here in your heart. What is that feeling? If you don't have obligations and you could be free, what is that feeling? Everyone, what is that feeling that you have? Love to see your responses. The feeling, the emotion of what? What is that feeling? These are great responses, by the way. Okay, so Lily, do you have a feeling? And it's okay to feel how you feel. How you feel is perfect.
The feeling, I would say, I have a lot of feeling for that, but the only thing that stick in my head all this time is peace.
Beautiful. Congratulations. Me too. Perfect. Okay. So what's amazing, and you may not agree with me, but this is how I live my life today. So if what we really want, and I learned this the hard way, okay? You don't have to learn it the hard way, but I'm going to share this with you. What we really want, we think the money is going to buy the peace. Okay, I went in my business, kicked ass. It's really good at what I did. I had great coaches. I did all the things. I made money. Did I have like that moment of elation, bliss, energized, blah, blah, blah? It felt like a massive caffeine dose. Yes. My Red Bull moment. And then 2 days later, it was emptiness. There was unfulfillment. So what if I told you what we're actually chasing is not the money, it's the peace? Does everyone get that? And how amazing, because everyone do it with me. I invite you to just participate with me hands-on, because we can here. Close your eyes and just connect to your heart and imagine that feeling of what is that you want. And I want you to specifically bring into focus that area of your life where you're struggling. Could be your wealth, your health, your relationship, really giving yourself that gift of true vulnerability for yourself. You don't owe me anything. You don't owe anyone anything. And ask yourself, what do I really want? And whatever that feeling is, I want you to just connect to your heart and recognize that thing that you really want is inside of you. So what's amazing is in my story, in my journey, that fulfillment, that love, that connection, I wanted to share who I was authentically with someone in my life, and to be able to be me, all of me, with someone in my life, and to be accepted and to belong. That's what Karishma needed. And ultimately, for me, that abundance that I was looking for outside of me, the abundance came in, the money came in. And it's something I love to do. I can do this in my sleep. This is what I love to do. This is who I am. But the fulfillment wasn't there. The emptiness was there. Why is that? Because the peace I was seeking, what happened for me, and I'm going to share, kind of finish full circle with what happened with me. Now, when I hit 6-figure months, and some of you guys may resonate with this, have you ever hit your own high? And it's been such a high that you spent the rest of your time trying to be as good as you. Like you had that one kick-ass deal. You that one thing happened that was so amazing. And now, instead of you comparing yourself to everyone else, you're comparing yourself to you. I did that. And so therefore, after that 6-figure month, and that's not true today, but in the subsequent months after that, not only was I sabotaging because of my marriage, but now I was sabotaging because this amazing bar I set for myself was so unsustainable that I had no choice but to go down. And what's amazing is, and it forced me to realize, okay, all this stuff was crap. If I didn't have me, I don't have anything. And what's been amazing is, as I started to build my life on a foundation of peace, Lily and everyone here that wants abundance, the abundance that you want has to come from within you. And when I say that, I mean, today I have to be good enough for me. I had to be good enough for me to leave the marriage of 17 years. I had to be good enough for me to be okay with rejection from my parents. I had to be good enough for me to be around my old friend circle that knew the two of us. They thought we were the picture perfect social media couple, because we were. And they looked at us and they looked at me and they were like, oh my God, like, you're contagious. Like, I can catch divorce from you. I had to fundamentally reassess every relationship in my life. And I can tell you right now, 3 years later, I have me. And I've literally rebranded my business. 3 months ago, I have a brand new business today that I am like proud of. It's still in its infancy, and who cares if this burns to the ground? Tomorrow I have me, and I'm going to be better than okay. And that means I don't need a sale to define me. I don't need a man to define me. I don't need a relationship to define me. I don't need a business to define me. That is empowerment. And it's that. What I wanted was inside of me, because when I have me, if I don't need someone outside of me, the business is going to take off. Do you guys see that? Because now people want to be around this energy of certainty. And every one of you is amazing, because you're here taking an hour of your busy lives and your family to honor you. That makes every one of you amazing. And I truly mean that. But we're sitting around waiting for someone to give us accomplishment, someone to give us accolades and reinforcement and all this stuff. No one's going to ever give it to you, my friends. We're sitting here bending over backwards, sacrificing ourselves day and night for some magical moment where someone's going to be like, oh my God, you're amazing. No, I had to learn that I am amazing. It has to come from me, because life is uncertain. If you have an investment, you've had properties that have gone downhill. Every one of us has. But you have to be okay knowing that if that investment goes down, you're still okay. That if your marriage is down, you're still okay. If your health is compromised, you're still okay. If your kids are suffering, you're still okay. That's knowing who you are outside of everything around you. That is the prize, my friends. You are the prize. It's that. That is everything. For us to give ourselves permission to be everything that we want society to give us, to be like, you know what? This is who I am. And to unapologetically be me, because you grow a business from that space. It's perfect. It's done. And it's about following your heart and following what's right for you, not what everyone else told you is what's right for you. And to have blind trust and faith in you, because that is everything. And that you can't learn in a book in business school. That's like you going all in on you. That is the only way that I'm here, of going all in on me despite all the odds. I have lost everything and I gained myself, and that is everything. And that's it. That's the prize today.
I love that. Love that. So there was another question that Brooke had asked, and if I can get to my question, I eventually will, because I know we're already flying through the hour like we knew we would. And Brooke was asking, when you quit your W-2 and being a provider, did you have money in the savings, and how were you confident in leaving without a consistent income?
Scariest moment in my life, Brooke. The other serious moment. Okay. And again, you know, we started with it, investing in ourselves, that question. But there's a point when you have that whisper inside of you, and it's a voice inside of, I call it my soul. Okay. I use the word soul, but it's that voice inside of you. Sometimes it's a whisper. And when you ignore that whisper, sometimes it becomes a scream. And that's what it was for me, where I wanted to invest in my business coach, when I wanted to come into, I was doing the real estate investment, and that was fine. That was fun. Clearly, I love helping people. And I wanted support in learning how to grow a coaching business. And my ex-husband had a lot of fear on money and investing in money, and he'd had a lot of businesses go awry. So I'm the first quote unquote successful entrepreneur in my family. I had no track record for someone that had already done it in front of me. And what it was about was really going all in on me. And, you know, it's like I needed that money. And I knew how much this coach that I wanted to work with cost. And I asked the question, honey, I really need to do this. And it's like, how are you going to do it? You haven't made money, blah, blah, blah. The real estate is still taking off. We're still paying off the bills for the real estate investment program that we'd purchase, and it's like a few weeks or a few days later, it's like, you know what? I need to do this for me. And I promise you that when that money comes back, I will pay off the investment. But I need to do this because there's something inside of me saying that I need to do this. And we need to all take a step back and get outside of that. Like, what do people want from us? And just take a step back, be like, what lights up my soul? What lights up my heart? What is it that I would do if nobody paid me, what would I do anyway? And like really be real with ourselves. And I call that a superpower. I call that like who you are and how you kick ass in any business. You find your superpower and you do that. And I help my clients do that, right? But it's not about being everything for everyone. It's honing in your superpower and doing that. And for me, there was this part of me, and I've gone through crazy things, okay? This is part of my story. But because I've gone through crazy things, every one of those crazy things helped me find me. And I knew there was a part of me that was like, I need to show up, I need to invest, I'm gonna figure it out. And I had a very reluctant husband at the time. The QR code, Veronica, is right where my picture is. You can probably see it, right where this big old square, this way, right here. It's right here next to my face. I'd love to connect with any one of you. Not a sales call, 15-minute call, completely free. And I'm not here to sell anything. I'm here to show up. And if you feel called to get support, I'd love to connect with you offline. But it was about recognizing at some point I need to honor my needs. And it was so amazing because at the time, my ex-husband was like, oh, it costs X amount of money. How are we going to afford that? And the amazing thing is when the money came, because I believed in me and I took the action that was needed to show up in my life in that way, guess who benefited from the money? My kids, my ex-husband. The money came back like this, but I had to show up and take that leap of faith. Again, very different from the conditioning that we have as women, and be like, you know what? I'm worth this. And, it was really hard for me too. I'm an Indian mom. Okay. We're really great at martyrdom. Okay. It's in my culture. It's in my lineage. It's what we're great at. My mom is a martyr. It's all good. But before I used to think the money has to go towards kids and activities and things for the family. The idea of investing in me was so unknown and so foreign. But the truth is, because I took a leap of faith in me, women are the primary influencers in their households. We are the primary spenders of money. We influence money decision like no other in families. Why can't we own our worth and value and say, I'm worth this? Because we're willing to put everything on the line for everyone else. It's where we honor ourselves first. And it's fundamentally breaking that shift, because guess what? 3.5 years later, I'm the only one that is still in business today. My ex-husband has had multiple businesses fail. That's his destiny. It's not mine. It's just about going all in on you is everything. And even if I came back to a job tomorrow, what I've learned through my story is my certainty and knowing no matter what, I'm going to be okay. And no matter what, I'm going to be better than okay, because today I have more skills, more resiliency, and more self-confidence than I ever did working for someone else. And those are just things that you pick up along the way. But first, you have to be willing to say, you know what, I'm worth it. And I had to decide that, because it was really easy for me to listen to the voices around me convincing me otherwise. Like, why do you have to spend money on you in this way?
Thank you. That was awesome. I love the fact that you said that a coach helps you see your blind spot, and you have a coach as well. And I've been in coaching my whole business life too. So I love that. One of the questions I had for you is, you mentioned earlier on that you said goals, you set goals for your clients, and that you specifically said, and what I loved, and I'd like to learn more about some of the steps that you take, or one of the things that you have your clients do, is that you said you like to have the business energy flow, not have to have it grind and push. Because when you think of a visual picture of that, I think so many of us, when whether we're business owners or we're managers in jobs, or we're just working a normal W-2, we always feel this grind or this, push. And that's what makes us like so tired, right? But when you mentioned that you want to have your clients have that goal, that work is a flow and an energy versus a grind or a push. I'd love to hear more about how you get your client to that point, or some of the things that you do, or some of the exercises that you might use.
Okay, that is such a great question. It's probably like a whole hour of coaching session.
Well, and I know we only have a few minutes, but okay. I'm like, if there's one nugget you can give us, that would be great.
Okay, the biggest thing that I would say, Candace, is I go back to the motivation behind our actions. And it's like what we literally talked about in the coaching call earlier today, of why do we do the things that we do? And when I think about like being everything for everyone, I'm the oldest daughter. I was the one who did my homework and my brother's homework growing up, like not making that up, right? Like somewhere along the way, I took that role on. Nobody told me I was supposed to. I think it was a little lazy too. But either way, like I decided that, right? And then of course, as I grew older, now I'm taking on everybody's stuff. I am taking on responsibility. No wonder I have burnout, overwhelm, stress, because I'm not just taking care of my stuff, I'm taking care of everybody's stuff. And again, what I said a few minutes ago was the only thing authentic to us is love. And when I think of the feeling of love, I think of peace. What is the motivation? Okay. And when I think of the motivation, and I literally have my clients like, write down a list of all the things. Okay. So what does it mean to, and I would invite all of you to do that. Make a list of all the things. As a mom, what are all the things that you told yourself you're supposed to do? As a wife, as a partner, what are all the things you told yourself you're supposed to do? As a businesswoman, what are all the things you told yourself you're supposed to do? And I'm saying you told yourself because I guarantee you took that on you. It's not authentic to who you are. Because if it was authentic to you and your soul and your heart, you wouldn't be exhausted. Our natural state of being, think of a baby, is peace, is love. If we're not in a state of peace and love, we're being inauthentic to how we are. And especially as women, and again, I probably spent hours talking about this, but it's the feminine energy. The feminine energy from which we all can flow is soft. I'm here, I'm soft. Like, is there a lot of fire in me? Absolutely. But I'm soft. I'm not here trying to push you into anything. I'm here to help you connect to your heart, because that's your authenticity. That's your authentic truth. So one of the biggest things that's been a huge shift for my clients that I work with, and for me, is really kind of taking a step back and really being honest with myself. If I were to come up with an inventory of all the roles that I play in my life, as a mom, as a partner, as a businesswoman, and as a daughter, all the roles, and if I actually write those out, what is actually authentic to me? What is the motivator behind it? So if I'm showing up, an example that I had on this little inventory sheet was, okay, let's say as a daughter, I decided that I have to call on my parents and check up on them multiple times a day, every day. And then I ask myself, what is the feeling of that? If that's like amazing, level 10, fulfillment, by all means, do that. But if I'm truly honest with myself, and if I'm open with myself and vulnerable with myself, and I'm like, you know what? The truth is, man, that's exhausting. The truth is, I love my parents. I honor my parents. They live 15 minutes away from me. There are days I don't want that responsibility. There are days I just want to be left alone. And that's with everybody. And that's me just being honest, not judging myself as a bad daughter, as a bad mom, as a bad whatever, but just honestly, like sometimes I need space. And sometimes they need space. But instead of pushing myself into these roles and responsibilities that aren't peaceful, I lose myself. Now I can't serve people in the way that I want. Then I become an angry, resentful mother. And that was me. When I put everybody else's needs first, as a business owner in my W-2 world, all the things. And I was really great at codependency. I was great at martyrdom. And what that inevitably led me all the time was massive burnout, massive stress, a lot of anxiety, and I didn't like who I was. And if I was really honest with myself, I could tell you I was unhappy. Most of us don't have, we have to be vulnerable within ourselves to really see ourselves. But when we start recognizing what is really authentic to me, is this relationship dynamic really peaceful? Am I showing up in this relationship dynamic in a way that's peaceful? Am I showing up with my kids in a way that's peaceful? In my household, I have 12-year-old twins. They help me cook. They help me clean up. They do chores. They've been helping me do these things since they were 6 years old. Does it make me a bad mom? I don't know. I don't care. It's not about them. It's about me. Do I like feeling supported in my own household? Absolutely. Do I want my kids to be empowered? Absolutely. For me, it's that. Yeah, earn your keep, but it's more than that. You are a member of the family and you get to be here and we get to contribute each other because we love each other. And you matter. Every one of you matters in the household, just like mommy matters. So we all have to help out. We all have to contribute. So every one of us is sharing responsibility. I didn't grow up like that, but it's fundamentally deciding my peace is everything. And I'm a single mom. There's no spouse here. I'm doing everything. That means that my kids get to help out and they're valued. Don't you want to be empowered and have children that are empowered as they grow up? It's that. So when we start calibrating to peace, Candace, that's really what it comes down to, and being really intentional. What do I want? And being honest with ourselves. This relationship, this partnership isn't peaceful. Why? Because, man, I'm doing operations. I'm not supposed to be doing operations. I'm supposed to be doing something else. And we find ourselves overextending ourselves, and those little things become big things before we know it. Now we're overextended, we're burnt out. And it doesn't matter what business you're in, everyone has this. So one of the first things I do with my clients is like, let's really recognize what is truly yours. What do you truly love to do, enjoy doing? And let's start really scrapping 70% off of your plate that doesn't serve you. And I'm not making up that number. It is 70%. The stuff that we tell ourselves that we're supposed to do, that we end up doing, and we get lost behind those things is exhausting. So the time freedom that we say we want, we're never going to have that, friends, unless we decide that we're going to start saying no intentionally to honor ourselves. Because from honoring myself, I honor my relationships, my kids, my family, my business, my clients. It comes from a place of love, not from a place of, oh my God, I'm barely holding it together. And I have one more thing on my plate.
Yeah, it's so important to just stay true to ourselves. It is amazing, and just having clarity on who we are, what we really want, because there's so many shiny objects out there that can distract you. Well, thank you so much. We just it's already time. I hate to close this call, but I know, ladies, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Karishma. It's been an amazing call. And just want to invite you, ladies, remember we get together the first and the third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. Central. Please invite more women out there, friends who can be benefited from these calls. Every week we have amazing speakers just like Karishma. If you want to connect with her, scan her QR code. She has a 15-minute free session for you. And we're also going to be sending the recording on Friday. So let's just stay connected. And if you are looking to invest, make sure you reach out to any of us. We have amazing investment opportunities, and we look forward to connecting with you. Thank you, ladies.